You go into the season, you're like, okay, Texas is probably a loss. You're 11.5 point underdog, and that's going to be a very tough win or tough game to win, especially for last year and it being like 34-3. Then you get into the season, it's like that's a dub. Like that is we are much better than Texas. I felt it. I thought it was like the lock of the week. Didn't listen to what Vegas was trying to tell us at all. So now you kind of come out of that limping and thinking like, well, like where do we go from here? Because you still have LSU, you still got Bama on the road. You get South Carolina this weekend. You got some other big games too. So it's not easy, man. It's not easy. So that loss is definitely it hurts for sure.
Yeah, and well, and you mentioned it too. So with Texas, Oklahoma fans, if Texas hadn't lost to Florida, I really think that they would have reacted to this loss a
Yeah,
lot differently. Obviously, the big one just being that John Mateer did not play well, had a really bad game. And you know what? Good players have bad games. The thumb obviously bothered him to some extent. I've said that several times. It either bothered him enough to not make certain throws, or it bothered him to where he didn't feel confident enough going into that game. One of the two. And obviously, he didn't practice full practice all week, and so
yeah.
that's another big thing that you've got to take from it.
The biggest
And
game of the
so,
year.
yeah,
You know what I mean? Like,
exactly. Yeah, and I think that Oklahoma fans don't really take all of that into consideration. And then on top of it, this is also a Texas team that had their backs up against the wall. They were panicking the way that I think Oklahoma fans are starting to panic now, where the team didn't not really panic. They could have panicked.
right.
They could have freaked out because they lost to Florida, who they should not have lost to, and they ended up taking that loss and saying, "All right, we need to correct some things. We need to figure out a way to run the ball." And they corrected some things and figured out a way to run the ball.
Yeah.
And then figuring out a way to beat their rival in Oklahoma. So I really think that this is a Texas team that just found a lot of things out about their team in that loss, and it seems to me like they're on the right trajectory. But like you said, I do think there was a lot of maybe overhyping of the Oklahoma Sooners to some extent. I
Well,
predicted 8-4 on the season, and I think that's a fair assessment.
I think they could be better than 8-4. People got onto me from Oklahoma's fan base because I kept saying like we don't know what Mateer is going to be coming into this league. He's only played. I think he only had like one start against like a ranked P4 opponent,
Yeah,
and it was like we have a new OC and you have a new quarterback, and you're coming into a league where Venables hasn't been great necessarily. Like I mean, like listen, that Venables win against Bama last year felt a lot like that 2021 A&M win, where it's like everyone's starting to get kind of out on him. They're frustrated, but you get this big win against a huge, huge name brand, and that's a great night. It's a great celebration. You celebrate the wins, but then like you lose over 40 players, I think, in the portal, and you have all these like question marks coming in. My biggest thing, though, and I look at this every year going into the season, which I mean everyone does, but like I feel like in the SEC, we don't always know who's going to be great and like that. You can pretty much bank on the fact you're going to play between 4 to 6 ranked opponents no matter what. And Oklahoma's schedule is a gauntlet, man. It is a
yeah,
gauntlet. And so I was saying that a couple weeks ago, and it's like even when they were 4-5-0, you have this defense that's like putting up historical numbers for the first month of the season. You haven't gotten to the meat of the schedule, and the meat of the schedule is still like every single team feels like it was ranked. And so yeah, I mean, I don't know if 8-4 is where they're going to be. I almost feel like a loss to Auburn in the start of the year, or maybe even a loss to Michigan, would have been better for this team in the long run than this loss. And that's only
yeah.
because I say like you look what happened with Alabama and the Florida State loss, and like that didn't affect them in the SEC play. But like sometimes a loss where you have to quickly evaluate what is going wrong and what you need to improve is the best thing that can happen to a team that's trying to win a national championship.
Yeah, well, and for this Texas team too, I think a lot of Oklahoma fans and some outside of Oklahoma fans as well just consider Texas to be a bad team, and that's just
Yeah.
not the case. They
It's
had
not
one
everywhere, man.
one bad loss, and honestly, you look at the Ohio State game. Ohio State didn't have their best game, neither did Texas, and that was just a sloppy Week 1
Right.
matchup, and it just didn't go out to either one of those teams' expectations. And so I do think this is a good Texas team, and Oklahoma fans can keep on calling me the sunshine pumper for saying that, but I think that this is the loss that you try to learn from. And if you're going forward from this point, you've got to win 4 of the next 6 in
Yeah.
order to really have a good shot, and at least a shot to make it to the playoffs. Because everyone's been saying it, like you mentioned, Oklahoma's really tough schedule. It comes down to it where 9-3, it gives you a really good chance to make
Oh,
the college
brother.
football playoffs.